Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to Almost Live at Brewminatti. If you've been here to our shows before, you know we always like to start off by thanking our advertisers and sponsors. So first, this time, we want to give a shout out to Refined Media for helping us pull all of this together. It would not have been possible without them. It was barely possible with them. But I think you'll be impressed with the quality of the presentation. So if you need video content, quality photography, graphic design, whatever, hit up the guys at Refined Media. We also always like to thank the friends and family of Dr. Burfield and Prosser Memorial Health. They have both been faithful sponsors and supporters from the beginning. And for those of you who are watching locally, maybe even regionally, it might be good for you to know that Prosser Memorial Health has a respiratory COVID-19 care clinic located on the campus. It's open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can get more info at prosserhealth.org. And we do appreciate the medical role they play in the community, as well as their continued support of live music. Both are life-sustaining, so we're grateful for that. Now, we've been reluctant to join into this live streaming thing because we are first and foremost a live music venue. And sadly, this is not that, but it's as close as we can get for a little longer anyway. So we've tried to create something a little bit different tonight. And Carl has been incredibly gracious to agree to serve as our guinea pig, our coal mine canary for this trial run. We are grateful for that. Here's how it's going to work. Carl's going to come up. He's going to play some music for a while, and then we're going to take a break. We're going to do a short question and answer period. I've got several gotcha questions I prepared just for Carl personally, and he said he trusts me to ask whatever I want. Then Carl's going to play some more great music, and then we're going to take another short break where hopefully we'll answer any questions that you may have. So if you're watching this on the Facebook, you can submit questions via the social media apparatus known as Facebook. And then we're going to close out with Carl playing another song or two, and we'll be done for the evening. Now, along the way tonight, you will see flashing up on your screen information on how to donate funds to either Carl or Brewminatti, or both if you're feeling particularly magnanimous. What you probably won't see are the subliminal message that will pop up periodically with specific dollar amounts that we encourage you to contribute. Just go along with it, and eventually the visions and the headaches will go away. So we've had Carl play once before. We've been trying to get him back since then. And so we are truly grateful for Carl's willingness to play along with us tonight. We think you're going to really enjoy him. One final word. If you've been here for shows before, you know that we are one of the top listening rooms in all of downtown Prosser. So we ask you to keep your sofa conversations and your pork rind chomping to a minimum this evening so as not to disturb the people next to you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, here's our friend Carl.
Well, this is weird. Can't remember the last time I've ever done, well, I've never done this before. Shot videos before, and of course you never know what you look like there. no makeup and all that. I'm starting to look like the Fox News anchors, and all this news anchors. You can see the lines under their eyes, and my hair's a little disheveled. So I'm going to start out tonight with a song. It's called Pulciato. I thought it'd be appropriate to play at Brewminatti since it kind of has an Italian flair to it. So this is kind of a heavy metal bluegrass tune. And it's total silence. Woo! Woo! I can hear it right now. So it's kind of interesting. We drove over today, and we're from West Seattle, and of course the West Seattle Bridge is closed, so we've got all these obstacles. Not to mention the traffic's starting to pick up a little bit because people are getting stir crazy. So just coming over the mountains, it felt just absolutely glorious. Getting over here, you roll down the windows, and the only people that are in front of you, it's like 6 cars out there about 200 yards. So we're feeling pretty good, and I'm very grateful for Marty and for allowing me to come over and play at Brewminatti. This next song I'm going to do is it's a song called Bad News. Kind of fitting right now because there is so much bad news in the world, but this song really is about all the good things that are going on. And even right now, there's more good happening in the world than there is bad. So we have to keep that in mind. 2 hours before the sun comes creeping hours before the clock's supposed to wake me up, well, I sit up in my bed and fumble before the light and say, good morning. Oh, how's the world today? Then I take off down the hall, you know I'm headed for the kitchen. Go to make myself some coffee, chase the sleep out of my eyes. Out on the front porch is this morning's edition. Think I'll leave it there. I already know what it says, it's just bad news. Then I turn on the TV, I guess I can't escape the news. There's some smiling angel talking to me, but to me he sings the blues about somebody's little angel took a gun to school. You know the rest. Then he casually says, oh, the weather will improve today by noon. Yeah, the weather will improve today real soon. But what about the man who stopped to help me on a 5? He missed the date with his friends to make sure that I got home alright. What about the lady who bought my gas when I lost my wallet and just said, give me your address, I will send you a check when I get home. Don't worry, son, just pass it on. Why don't they write about these things? Then I realized it's all because nobody dies. It's not bad news. Two hours before the sun comes creeping through my windows. 2 hours before the clock's supposed to wake me up. Well, I lay there in my bed and wonder if this world is better than it was yesterday when I fell fast asleep. Am I better than I was yesterday? Are you better than you were yesterday? Thank you. Don't worry, if anybody at the state office is watching, we are socially distanced. I just want you to know that we are. I was going to bring my ventriloquist and show you how I could actually talk while I'm drinking water, but I don't actually possess that skill. So this next tune is called Imagination. It's what the world could use a lot more of. This next song is called "Who Is This Man?" You know, it's funny how we start growing older and how our memories can take us back to places immediately. I mean, I was just had this kind of a revelation one day. I was staring at myself and I realized, you know, I'm getting up in age. I've got white sidewalls coming in here, so we're kind of sporting the cruiser mode. And I was just thinking about when I was in Alaska, you know, and then I went up there when I was about 18 years old. And it's funny how those things, we can just pull them back in a moment and we can be back and feel the smells, or smell the smells and feel the feelings that we had back then. So I wrote this song called "Who Is This Man?" Well, I never thought that I could make it this far down the road. Oh, but I still feel the same way that I did all those years ago. But when I look in the mirror, see those gray hairs coming in, and I furrow up my brow. It shows all these wrinkles in my skin, and I say, who is this man? I don't recognize your face, looking out from where I am, and I still feel like I did when I was 25 years old. Where does time go, and who is this man? You see, memories are funny. They're like photographs in our minds. That long summer in Alaska, the cold November my best friend died. All this laughter and the heartache are like remedies and stains written on the pages of our memories that we read over and over again. And I say, who is this man? I don't recognize your face, looking out from where I am, and I still feel like I did when I was 25 years old. Where does time go, and who is this man? But I don't think that I would change anything if I could. All these dead end roads and the bridges I burned, 'cause I knew that I could wade the river, crawl across the empty sea, till we come to see our hearts and see this life we have is a beautiful masterpiece. Well, I never thought that I could make it this far down the road, but now I see I am this man. A retune job here. Marty's back there with his lighter. He's really going to town on. This next song is called "Why." Another cigarette burns slowly on the nightstand. It's the smoke like a spirit rises twisting in the air. Delays dolefully staring at her picture on the mantle, and that hole she made in the ceiling that he's been meaning to repair. Oh, why? Tell me why. It's been 3 years now, the fog's never lifted. Feels like a cripple waiting for the touch of Christ. Life's been begging for mercy at the gates of heaven. Oh, but God just turns his head when he walks on by. And I'm not leaving here till somebody tells me why. And I can walk away from this pain, back into my life. I always believed in love that set us free. And then you took your life, you broke my heart, you stole that from me. Why? Tell me why. 'Cause I can still hear your voice on the telephone at night. Said I'll be coming home soon. You said don't hurry, take your time. I'll be fine. I'm cleaning the house and our son's next door. But when you told me goodbye, it was like you were closing a door. Oh, why? Tell me why. I'm so sorry, trying to be a good mother and a wife. And I have had this hole in my heart, pain all my life. I always thought that one day I could break free. But now I know the truth is that I will never be. Why? Tell me why. I'm not leaving here till somebody tells me why. Thank you. This next song is it's actually a song I wrote, and people would often ask me what are my inspirations for songs, and this song is kind of just really a pretty mellow song. And I said actually how this came about is I'm stuck in rush hour traffic going up I-5, and there was a dude in a pearl white Escalade. So to this day I still don't like pearl white Escalades. And I was dreaming about the fact, because it's like 7 miles of backup, and he's honking and he's riding up on everybody. And I'm thinking, dude, if I was in Eastern Washington right now, I'd take a 16-pound bowling ball. This was in my mind. I'd take a 16-pound bowling ball, and what you want to get the perfect bounce on it, you want to aim for that Cadillac emblem in the grill and just take it out and watch all the juices flow from the front end of that thing. And this lady was staring at me when I was telling her the story. And she goes, that was the inspiration for that song? Yes, it was. So anyways, you get to hear it now. This next song is it's a tune called Reckoning. This is kind of goes through lots of different flavors. There was no Escalades were harmed in the filming of this, from the making of this. So just so you know, if you own an Escalade in town and something happens to it, a full disclaimer, it wasn't me. Okay. Yeah, this next song is for all of us who sort of bloomed after high school. I had a friend that I went to Nashville with, and I didn't run into him about 14 years later, and it was amazing how stuck some people get. So this is called High School Pedigree. Man, it's been 14 years, a million changes, not a water under the bridge, so they say. You look at me like I am some stranger, someone that you never met. But you know that's true. You only saw in me what you want to do, but now you can't deny all that I've become. Has it been that long since you were in Nashville? You'd written some songs, thought you'd be a big star. Funny how reality so quickly crushed your dreams and sent you home with a broken heart. But now you know how real life stories sometimes go. You can't believe every dream you had when you were 17. We started talking about those days in high school, how they voted you most talented, likely to succeed. I was invisible, lost in the background, struggling every day just to believe. But now I see that it didn't matter what those teenage kids thought of me. The real world doesn't care about your high school pedigree.
All right, we're going to do a quick set change. Get ready for the Q&A, so hang in there. We'll be right back. So thanks for hanging with us. This is all more technologically challenging than you would think, and it turns out none of us are very smart. So thank you for hanging in there. So I've got a couple questions I put together for Carl, if you don't mind. My first question, Carl, is at what age did you know or begin to know that you wanted to play music for a pseudo living?
Oh gosh, I was probably, well, I started when I was 18 years old. I got into a band over in East Rush in Othello, and we were playing 2 nights a week on a weekend, and I was working a full-time job making $5 an hour. I was making more on the weekends. And I thought, this is way better. Of course, you could smoke back then. And well, I mean, everybody smoked back then. So you could go to the VFW hall and it looked like chimneys. I've never seen ashtrays that long before in my life. And so that was probably when I got the bug. But then, of course, reality, and I was playing in a band 5 nights a week. Started touring within a couple of, and I did that for about 4.5 years till I was about 21, 22. And then I started doing other things, it was tough. It was tough. I mean, you're grinding in and out in some seedy bar in like Odessa or something. So I thought I got to do something else or I'm going to have cancer or, emphysema like the rest of these guys in the band.
So what have been, over the course of the years, some of your primary musical influences?
Originally, I would say, for one, you guys were going to have him here. Phil Kagi was a great influence. Pierre Bensusano was another guy you were going to have here. And then, of course, Larry Carlton, probably Steve Lukather and Dean Parks. A lot of the studio guys I really loved. And I did some session work as well. And, of course, I was in Nashville for a bit and realized I didn't want to sing about monster trucks and being down by the creek with my truck. And so I kind of figured that I could play music another way. And I've gotten in, like I said, I work with guitar companies and other companies and travel around the United States doing it. So it's a good gig.
As a general rule, do you prefer the book or the movie adaptation of the book?
That's weird because most of the time the book is always better, but there have been a few times, and I can't name exactly the film, but there's a couple times where I've actually watched the film and I thought it was a better representation.
We're going to want specifics.
Well, I mean, that's bad. I honestly don't know. I think, oh gosh, I have no idea. I'm like drawing a blank here.
But primarily the book.
Great. The book.
So if music hadn't worked out for you the way that had, what do you think you would be doing instead?
Oh, good God. I might be doing that again. It's like starting over. It's not like everybody's going to be going, hey, let's have a house concert. You come into our house. I've got this dry cough and I'm sweating profusely. I don't know if it's just I don't know. I did, honestly, I think I would have done something creative. I would have probably been into metal work or, I worked in a body shop and I did, a lot of metal finishing. And I think being creative is the most important. Of course, music has a far greater appeal to me than anything else I've done. So.
Interesting. And I don't want to get too political here, but I have to ask how this COVID situation has personally affected your hairstyle.
Well, my wife has to cut my hair, and she does great. She is actually the person that cuts my hair most of the time. But like 2 days before we came here, I mean, I was looking like Patrick Swayze from the late '80s. I mean, I was wearing.
You should have totally rocked that here.
It was all business in the front, and I mean, we were partying big time in the back there. So it was looking kind of scary. But I just thought, but it's like you go to the store and you see these people and they're looking, they're wearing sweatpants with somebody's name printed on the butt, and I'm thinking, I got this handled. I'm wearing jeans at least.
Next question. If you couldn't be Carl Tosten, master Yamaha sponsored guitar slinger, whose career would you want to have?
Oh man, I would have probably any of the session players, like Jay Graydon, Steve Lukather, Dean Parks, and mainly because they would just go in and play a part on a song, and they were part of so many songs that people don't even realize that, the Wrecking Crew, these guys would just go in and never hear the song before, and they would nail it. And everybody's like, oh, that's the coolest guitar part. That's the coolest thing. And then you find out that, it was the studio musicians that made the magic. They're the ones that made that song killer. They put the cool solo in or a backing vocal part or something, and it just made the song.
So interesting. You don't see yourself as like the front man type. You're that guy who just nails the guitar part and does it well.
Well, no, I mean, obviously I sing and play and stuff like that but I'm not, I'm more about, I used to, when I was in Nashville, this guy would go into a guitar store and he purchased guitars mainly how they looked on him, and so that's when I think of a front man, I think of that. It's like there's not a lot of substance there. There's sort of that, a lot of showmanship and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of real knowledge going on. So I'm more of a thinker, I guess.
Can you provide any insight at all into what seems to be the almost universal appeal of peanut butter and jelly?
Well, that depends on where you're at. See, now down in New Zealand, it's Marmite or Vegemite on bread. Well, and it's disgusting. When I said peanut butter, of course, they call it preserves. So I don't know if it's universal. I think maybe European, but you get in the Southern Hemisphere or go over to the UK. I mean, I think they look at peanut butter and jelly, and it's sort of like peanut butter and jelly. They're probably asking that question now. Can you tell us why there's universal appeal for Marmite and Vegemite?
So I expect you to have zero insight into that question, and yet you talked in a reasonable, knowledgeable fashion. Next question. In a perfect world, what performer, not necessarily musical, but what performer would you choose to open your world tour for you?
Oh God, what's that guy? I know this is going to sound weird. I can't think of that. He's a tap dancer, and he was kind of a Gregory Hines protege.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. And he's so interesting because I like to do a lot of
dreads.
Yeah. I like to do the percussive things, and I could see how you could actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I mean, usually with guitar players, everybody sort of gets in or other musicians, they sort of are just playing off each other. But this would be so different, and it would be more rhythmic, and you could add melodic chords and stuff over the top of his playing. And I think that would be cool. That would be cool. Of course, he would never open for me.
That would be a worthwhile show. I happened to look at your Instagram account, and it's discreetly mentioned something about Duncan Yo-Yo Champ.
I was the Duncan Yo-Yo Champ of Othello, Washington. I pretty much went there and handed them all their backsides, and I walked away with 5 new yo-yos and a patch, which I proudly wore on my jacket. And of course, when that jacket was roasted, I took that patch off. It went on the new jacket.
So this is like late 90s?
Let's talk about the 70s. You saw guys in, leisure suits and, powder blue suits and stuff doing yo-yo tricks. And so they showed up outside the Leprechaun Mart in Othello, and there were like probably 20, 25 guys, and we were all doing things, and I spanked them all.
So, we're getting a Leprechaun Mart here in Prosser. So would you be willing to maybe come back as a part of a grand opening to yo-yo this new store into existence in Prosser?
Absolutely. I'm showing how to walk the dog around the world, cats in the cradle.
Just going to throw that out there. Last question. What is your favorite part about playing music for an actual live versus virtual live audience? What do you enjoy most about performing?
Well, I mean, it's, of course, the rapport with the people. I mean, if you're, I think music in its best form is that somebody takes something away from it, or it provokes the feeling or conversation or something. That's what it is. It's just playing off people. And I think, this is actually very cool. I've never done this. I think you're doing a splendid job. But yeah, it's just having that live audience. You sort of feed off of it, and you can see people are listening to the lyrics or watching, listen to the tune or something, and they're taking something away from it. So.
You are a very gutsy man for sitting here and going through this for the first time out, having no idea what to expect. So we're going to do a quick reset. You're going to be back on stage playing some more music, and then we've had a few Facebook questions coming in, so we'll come back here a little later and deal with those.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Well, folks, we're back after those questions that were asked, and now you know the deep, dark reaches of my soul, and so now you can. But in all seriousness, do make sure that you guys that can afford to do so, donate to Marty in these. It's just been a really difficult time for everyone, especially business owners. Everybody thinks that these guys just have money coming out their ears, and it really is. When you look at what he's doing, he's kind of the heart and soul of America, the American dream. So do be generous if you're able to. This next song I'm going to do is called the song Dance of the Victorious. This next song I wrote, it's called Still Got My Dreams. And it's a quick little story I'll nail to you. A friend of mine was married, and well, he had to get married and proceeded to have 3 other kids. And so he called me up one day and he said, I found my dream car. Can you give me a ride over to West Seattle, of all places, way before I lived there? And we're driving down Beach Drive there. Come around the corner, and there's this guy leaning up against this ugly late 80s RX-7. And I think he was covering the only straight piece on the car. And it was a convertible. And I was thinking, you have 4 kids, man. Where are you going to like bind them together like cordwood and stuff them in the back patch there? And anyways, the thing didn't run so good, and we finally got home. So I wrote this song, and he bought my CD, and he wrote me like 2 years later. He goes, that song, Still Got My Dream. Is that about anybody I know? I'm like, well, if the shoe fits. Well, it's early morning, wake up to the sound of my baby crying. And just 2 more hours since off I go to a job you know I hate. But it pays the rent and feeds the kids. Yet this ain't how I saw it all those years ago when I was free. And I still have my dreams of that little red sports car with no backseat. But I climb into a Subaru, it's a wagon I confess, as I cruise on down to 90 with all of my regrets. And I'm still thinking about my dreams of that little red sports car with no backseat. You and me, baby, cruising with the top pulled down on some solitary road where there ain't no children's sound, just the sound that the road makes flying under our wheels. You and me, baby, remember how it feels. Well, it hurts. Still have my dreams of that little red sports car with the backseat. Thank God I found what I was looking for, scraped together what I needed. Oh, the seller said it's a run so well, I can get it really cheap. And I finally got my dream. Got that little red sports car with no backseat. But I coasted into the driveway, oh, I barely made it home. Disappointed, I rolled it in the garage. Close the door, turn the radio on, and I'm trying to find something. But there's darkness all around me. I'm not feeling very free. Though my marriage seems a lot like this broken down car, I think it's gonna cost me more to fix it, 'cause I'll just leave it here in the dark. Though I'll dream away, oh, I'll run away. Yes, I'll hide away inside of my little car. So if you're out there watching, I got your number, pal. Well, thank you guys so much. I see the Venmos coming in on my phone, and I really, really honestly appreciate it. And to these gents that are running this, it's quite an ordeal to watch how many cameras are going, and we got a guy back there with his headphones on. This next song, it's a song called Departure. This next song is called American Dream. So I wrote, actually got me into the Woody Guthrie Folk Festival, and I won second place with it. So, you know, I got that going for me. And I got to play on the stage in Okemo, Oklahoma, where Woody Guthrie was born. and where Woody Guthrie had actually performed. So it was kind of a magical time, and I always like to say that I won something because it makes me look bigger. So. Little man goes to sleep in his big Park Avenue bed, counting all the money that he knows he's gonna save by moving his factories to China. They'll work for pennies a day, and I say, oh, he's selling out you and me for his American dream. And a big old man sits alone in his little middle-class house, so bitter at the world for how he thinks his life has turned out. So he's cooking up some scheme, gonna clean all our bank accounts out. And I say, oh, he's selling out you and me, stealing his American dream. And a poor man waits every day for his bus to come. He's working 2 jobs cause he don't want no handouts from anyone. At the end of the month, he hasn't got a penny to his name. This is his, oh, I'm just so happy to be free, living my American dream. And what makes some men greedy when they already have so much? Step back from the fast-moving lives to watch the rest of the world choking in that dust. What makes some men feel like the dreams never quite come true? So they're gonna get it any way they can by stealing it from me and you, yeah. What makes some men feel like they're standing on top of the world? Though they haven't got a single claim to fame, they're just so happy to be breathing the air. American dream, American dream. What does it mean to you and me? American dream, American dream. Yeah, yeah, yeah. American dream. What does it mean to you and me? American dream. Oh, won't you tell me, please, what's your American dream? It's a little dry over here. I see Marty's writing in his book. I know what that means. This song I've always loved. This is a song, it's kind of an anthem, I think, for this whole scenario. It's a song by a songwriter that I've loved. I don't like all of his stuff, but it was a band called Crowded House, and his name was Neil Finn. And when I was in New Zealand, I've sort of, I love that country. So I thought I'd learn the song. There is freedom within, but there is freedom without. Try to catch the deluge in a paper cup. There's a battle ahead, Many battles are lost, but you'll never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Yeah. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in and they'll come to build a wall between us, and you know that they will win. Now I'm towing my car. There's a hole in the roof. My possessions are causing me suspicion, but there's no proof. In the paper today, tells of foreign love ways, but you turn right over to the TV page. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in and they'll come to build a wall between us, and you know that they will win. Now I'm walking again to the beat of a drum, and I'm counting the steps to the door of your heart. And there's a shadow ahead, a bit clear in the roof. Get to know the feeling of liberation and release. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in and they'll come to build a wall between us. You know that they will win. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in and they'll come to build a wall between us. You know that they will win.
Okay, we're back as promised with a couple of questions that have come in off the social medias. First of all, though, Carl, I want to point out that we've had well over 14 people check in on this thing tonight. It's actually much higher than that. But we've had a lot of people watching. International viewership. People as far away as Oregon are tuning in for this. So it's a smashing success. The first comment is, are you familiar with the show Parks and Rec?
Yes, I think.
So their park director is a woman named Leslie Knope. Prosser has our own version of Leslie Knope, a woman named Jesselyn, whose last name I can't mention, Cole.
Yep.
But Jesselyn is all over this yo-yo at the new market thing. So you may be having some follow-up comments about Dunkin' yo-yos. The first question that came in is from Denise. Among all of the guitars in the world, how did you land on this particular guitar as your guitar of choice?
Well, I have a whole bunch of guitars, and I have some really expensive custom-made guitars. Actually, one that I played here last time I played, a guy named Dwayne Noble from over there. What I look for in a guitar anymore is that it's got to sound good, and when I pull it out of the box, I don't want to fuss and muss with it. This guitar does everything. It's been knocked off stages, it's dropped, and it always plays great. It sounds great. It never fails. So it's consistent. It's like a best friend that's got your back. So that's why I landed on this one.
Great. From Steve and Tammy, are you still doing guitar clinics for Yamaha?
Yes, but obviously with the social distancing and the fact that Yamaha stopped all their corporate travel, so I don't know when that's all going to start. So I have no idea.
All right. 2 more songs, and we're going to call it a night. Let's get out while this is all still working the way it's supposed to. Take it, Carl.
All righty.
All right, let me turn my.
I'm just looking for songs I haven't done down there and songs that might be appropriate. Since I should pay homage to, I love Neil Finn. I also love Jackson Browne. So I was going to do this song. It's called The Sky is Blue and Black. They're calling out to one another and the lovers up and down the strand. The sound of the waves and the cries of the seagulls circled in the sand. The fragments of the song carried down the wind from some radio. Murmuring the city in the distance, ominous low. Don't hear the sound of the world where we play. The far too simple beauties of the promises we made. You ever need holding, call my name and I'll be there. If you ever need holding now, don't hold them back. I'll see it through. The sky is blue and black. When the touch of a lover ends and the soul of a friend begins, there's a need to be separate, a need to be one, and the struggle neither wins. Well, you gave me the world, I was in the place I could make a stand. I could never see how you doubted me when I let go of your hand. Oh, and I was much younger then. I must have thought that I could know if things were gonna end. The heavens were open like a wheel on a track. Our sky was unfolding, didn't ever fall back. Sky blue and black, and I'd fought the world for you. If I'd known that's what you needed me to do, or put aside what was true or untrue. If I'd known that's what you needed me, that's what you needed me to do. But the moment has passed by me now. Do I put away my pride and just come through for you somehow? In the world, like a wheel on a track, our sky was unfolding, but it'll never fall back. Sky is blue and black. You're the color of the sky reflecting in each storefront window pane. You're the whispering and the sighing of my tires in the rain. You're the hidden cost and the thing that's lost in everything I do. Yeah, I'll never stop the wheel for you. That's the way love is. That's the way love is. That's the way love is. Sky, the sky is blue and black. This last song I'm going to do, and I thank you guys for hanging out. I mean, obviously you guys have to because you're. Thank you, Marty, for actually doing this. This has been something he just sort of dropped on me, and I thought, wow, that's a great idea to. But this last song I wrote, it's a song called "You and Me," and I was in Israel back in 1987, and I went to this guy's house. He was an Arab dude. I was staying in Bethlehem. His name is Jamal. The most dour-looking gent you've ever met in your life. Just looked like he was, passing kidney stones on a daily basis there. And but the sweetest soul. And I remember going into his house and sitting. It was in the Tahitian camp, and looking on the wall. And I'm a big fan of velvet paintings, aren't we all? And there's a picture of two lovers under a moon sitting on the dock. And I don't know why. You have certain attitudes as an American about different cultures, and you think, man, these guys are the most boring, hard-edged people. But what I realized is that everyone's the same, and that at the end of the day, on a Friday night, we want to go out, have a little fun, have a little coin in our pocket. We want our kids to do better than we did, and that's every culture is that way. They're just different than us. So I wrote the song called "You and Me." What if all you were my friends, and all of your friends were mine too, and all of mine were yours, and everyone they knew? The world would be a different place, 'cause there would be no strangers, and everybody'd be somebody known by you and me. I want a better world, one where everyone's truly free. All of our skin might be a different tone, but our hearts be red with flesh and bone, and all souls long to be loved. I know this is nothing new, but so many minds confused with rage. It seems like nothing's gonna change. Oh, allow the strength to live the truth. It's gotta be you and me. I want a better world, one where everyone's truly free, one where we look past the difference on the outside, find that human heart a human soul inside, one like you and me. Step on our ducks tonight. One day I threw a rock into a pond. I watched the ripples fan out in the shape of the sun. They just kept going, no, they did not stop till they reached every shore. You and I are like the stones cast into life. So much is unknown. We don't stop until we're through. Then 1,000,000 people see the ripples of me and you. I want a better world, one where everyone's truly free, one where we look past the difference on the outside, find that human heart, find that human soul inside, one like you and me. Thank you guys very much.
So, can't tell you how fun this has been to have live music on the stage here at Brewminatti again. The only thing that would have made it better is if all of you were here with us. Hopefully we'll get to do that before not too much longer. But we thank you for tuning in, for commenting, for sending money. This has just been a pretty good start for this deal. We're trying to put a few more together. We'll keep you posted as we go. Thanks, Carl, for coming over for this. Refined Media for putting all this together. Friends and family of Burfield, PMH. You guys have been great to support all this. And cheers to you. Hopefully we get to see you all again real soon. Good night.